Hello, Arachne7 and welcome back to Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts and into week 2 of our Shipyard Champions mini-series that we're doing with a bunch of other YouTubers. So maybe perhaps before we talk about the challenge for this week, let's look at the scoring for last week. So a bit of a recap, the mission last week was create one 1930 battleship that could defeat a larger 1920s fleet of, I think it was one battleship, a couple of heavy cruisers, a couple of lights, 5 destroyers, something like that. And the plan was to have the lowest tonnage possible. And you can see this is how everyone got on. Brother Monroe and Spartan Elite went pretty conservative, or Brother Monroe went conservative, 50,000 tons. Spartan Elite, Broccoli, Panzergraph, more middling on the road. You'll see myself here in second position with just under 26,000 tons, and I'll talk about why that number is there in a minute. And then congrats to Vlogging Through History Gaming, who came with a very respectful 20,000 tons on the first attempt. And that's the important bit when we talk about on the first attempt, because it wasn't clear in the brief, but it was evidently clear from all my other competitors' videos that everyone else designed one ship, had one bite at the cherry, and posted that as their score. So for me, I took the, I can't remember if it was the shotty one, but it's the very first ship that I designed. In fact, let me flash that up on screen. Here she is. Yes, this is the video of a video because that's how professional I am. Yeah, so the shotty one was what we scored in this 25,832, which was my genuine first attempt at it, and did very well. What I'm disappointed by is because I didn't know I was only having one attempt, I didn't really try and fine-tune this one, and although we got to some real extremes where we ended up down the 12,000 mark, which, let's be honest, I would have gambled with. I have a single attempt. I do think that our second offering, which was the 16,000 tonnage, in fact, let me just get that one up. Like so, this one, the Shotty 2. And I think I could definitely have ended up somewhere more down like this, because that did a phenomenal job for us. No real problems carving through it. But there we go. But you know, it's for fun. So I don't want to like grime and moan and bitch about things, because who cares? We're just having a bit of fun, having a bit of a game. So the important thing is kudos to VTH Gaming. They streaked ahead, and that's a bold post for a first playthrough, first attempt or single attempt. So credit where credit is due. Excellent. But I enjoyed the kind of polishing aspect we did anyway. Right, so that's this week out of the way. Last week out of the way, I should say. Get out of here. What is the plan for this week? Well, this week was an interesting one that came in 2 parts. First, we were given instructions. We could design a fleet of as many ships as we liked, and the only constraint we had was that build time had to be less than 50 months in total. You could have 1 million destroyers, one big battleship. They can be 1890s, they can be 1940s. No other constraints. Just total build time, 50 months. And that was an interesting prospect. So I hummed and I hawed before I did anything else. And given my experience with our kind of slimming down of the battleship line, and we realized you could do quite a lot with not a huge tonnage of ship, I didn't feel the need to go jump into the battleship end. But like, no, I don't want to spam a bunch of destroyers. So I thought, you know, heavy cruiser. I think that's where instinctively that's a good place to start. Can deal with little stuff. Could probably punch above its weight and deal with the big stuff. Let's go for that. In terms of time period, I did want to go slightly later because I think, just anecdotally, when I've been playing around this, obviously more modern ships, I think do better. Certainly do better in terms of tonnage. And I suspect the true is going to be the same of build time as well. So I wanted something relatively new. So I just put a line in the sand, and I went, let's jump into here. And I thought heavy cruisers. I thought, let's say 1930s, because that's the kind of tech we've been dealing with. Who do we want to go with? And again, without over polishing things, I thought to myself that the Japanese heavy cruisers, you know, they made some nice cruisers. Why not go with Japan? And I ended up designing this, the Elsa, which I'll explain the name for later. And again, same principles. So we went with the 10-inch guns that had done sterling work in our last outing, supported just by, you know, whatever secondaries I can find space for. So we got a couple of 3 inches at the back, 4 inches at the front, and a plethora of like 2 inches smattered throughout our superstructure. I wanted a reasonable speed, and we settled on about 36 knots. Just by engine efficiency, it started to drop off quite heavily after that, and I didn't want to go double funnel from a space perspective. And then I started looking at the components, and this is where it got quite interesting actually, because not that much stuff seemed to influence build time, and I'm still not 100% sure on what the formula is of how we get to our build time. So things like, so I went maximum bulkheads, because we can drop that down to none, and doesn't affect our build time. I killed the range because we don't need range, doesn't really matter. Again, veterans crew, I generally went for the best tech I could on almost everything, and really there was only a couple of very specific technologies around the protection here that influence build time directly. So anti-torp is one of them. You can see if you up to 3, you can see that in that line about the midway there. Anti-torp 3 would add 10% to your construction time, 4, 15, 5, 20. So that does start really hitting your durations. Again, if you do different different bottoms to your hull, again adds construction time. And is it the Citadel armor as well? Again, adds significantly to your construction time. I can't remember if anti-flood does. No, it doesn't. And bulkheads don't either. Why have I not gone up to 2? Might be a weight thing. I might finesse that later. Oh, well, I don't need to, because I'll explain why. Yeah, so these were the only real questions I had of, well, where do I want to land? So I took a little, a moderate level of anti-torp, kind of the lowest level of Citadel I could take. Look, I may be able to obsolete ones anyway, and not anti-flood. The other one just kept on single bomb. So that was the only place I really compromised. I then went down, again, let's go burning out, because I find that quite effective. So we've gone for the HE perspective, just because if we end up against something which is heavily armoured, and I can't punch through it, I can still burn it out. And I've quite a lot of torpedoes on this thing. And obviously best equipment we can get in terms of rangefinders. For the armour, I wasn't sold on needing loads of armour, but I simply filled it out once I'd got everything else in place, and it didn't, because it also didn't really affect the build time. So I was just using up my weight and all that bits and pieces by playing around with the armour. So that's what else. And this one hasn't finalised design, and we'll explain in a minute. Because having done that, I then thought to myself, well, hang on a minute. What is the big impact in terms of build time that technology is really having? I mean, okay, I can see it clearly from its protection, but from other stuff, from your range finding equipment, from you're upgrading your Mark version of your guns. Okay, maybe not for 10 inch because they're already Mark 5, but we could get better kind of 3 inch and 4 inch guns. We could get some better propellant and charges. Is that really going to add to the build time? So I did what a good person would do and went and experimented, and we ended up with the Elsa Mark II. Now, she is not an identical vessel, but is very, very similar. So again, hitting the 15-month build time. We've got the same Mark V triple 10-inch guns. Our secondaries are slightly different. So we have ended up with a pair of 5-inch turrets rather than, I think it was a pair of 3s and a pair of 4s on the last one. And I think we have one less batch of torpedoes, but they are they're improved Mark V, and all our little 2-inch guns are improved as well. There's lots of little secondaries in here, so this thing puts out a healthy amount of DACA. I have ended up doubled funnel over here because you can see I've also managed to steal an extra couple of knots. Yeah, and so all my protection stuff has remained the same. My armor is a better quality. My shells are better. Yeah, we're up to max the TNT for there. I've got maximum generation range of my equipment, and in fact I've ended up with more armor because I'm a newer version as well. So all in all, it's a better ship, same build time. So that's why I've kind of ended up right at the 1940s mark. Now originally when I was kind of humming and hawing and going through this, I thought, well, maybe I could get down to like the 12 months and have 3 heavy cruisers. But I couldn't really make it work without sacrificing too much. There seems to be a kind of fairly base build time that you're going to get for any reasonable heavy cruiser. So I thought, well, I could take 3 of these. That'd be 45 months. That's within my limit. Or I could take 2 of these, and that would leave me 20 months left over. And why not get something a little bit bigger? So that's what I did. So I then drafted a battle cruiser. You see here, it takes 20 months. And this is what I came up with. So my design philosophy here was, well, look, I've got my heavy cruisers. They've got these wonderfully fast-firing 10-inch HE incendiary fire armament. Why don't I pitch in with my battle cruiser here? It's got a little bit more oomph. So I went up to a 16-inch main gun. I don't want to go any heavier. I mean, personally, I quite like a 16-inch main gun. Probably some of my rule the waves bleeding into how I play here. But that's the armament I landed on without a huge amount of science or thought behind it. And yeah, we've got nice 3 quads, I should say, so 12-inch broadside, and then we filled it out, and then I've some good hearty secondaries in terms of these 8-inchers, which will do a lot of good work, and then obviously filled in all the spaces I could with whatever little calibers I could fit in. And again, kept it with 38 knots that matched the Elsa, and went through and maxed out all the bits and pieces we could. The only compromise being around the protection, although we did end up with reinforced bulkheads too, rather than some other stuff. And then when again armor, I was just really spending the weight, to be perfectly honest. So we've ended up with a 16-inch main belt, which is pretty good. Although I have several thousand tons I could still play around with. It's maybe not saved my latest design. Oh, I don't think it has. I was about to say, I thought I ended up a bit heavier. Okay, so we're going to end up with even more. Oh no, that's why 21 months. I did play around with it. I remember now. So you can see there is an impact in your armor. I think it's tied to weight. Okay, so we got 16-inch main belt armor. So that's what we end up with. So pretty good, reasonable deck, reasonable belt. I think we come against most things. But the fact of the matter is, I had no idea what we're going to be up against. Was it going to be a stupendously big fleet of older ships, one just massive modern behemoth, somewhere in between? Didn't know. The plan was we had to get these 2 designs. And so I committed. I said I'll have 2 1940 Empire Japan, 2 heavy cruiser Elsas, 1 battle cruiser Anna, and they were both going to go into the unknown. There we go. That's what they're named after. Frozen. Oh, can you tell I've got young kids? Right. Anyway, and so we did. So I sent my designs off to. I was going to say Broccoli. He told me that's not how you pronounce it. He hasn't told me how I should pronounce it. So Broccoli for the time being. To hear about the next bit of a challenge. And that's what we will jump to now. So he came back and he said, in fact, I can get it up. The challenge is to fight one behemoth called the Sea Jaeger, which is this massive thing. So this is our challenge. One ship, one massive ship, we have to take it on. As you see, they've got 18-inch guns. So 8, so we've got a bigger broadside, but they've got bigger shells. Again, pretty healthy number of secondaries. Not a crazy amount of firepower, to be honest, per se. And 25 knots really slow, although it's not really going to play too much into our hands because there's no point in us controlling a long-range engagement. Might help us close with our heavy cruisers if we want to torpor. But the interesting bit is that maxed out protection, anti-5, triple bolt and ball, reinforced bulkheads, all this amazing stuff, huge amounts of armor. This thing is an absolute behemoth of protection. So that's our real challenge, is going to be, can we sink this thing? And beyond that, there are a few point mechanics we need to deal with. So let me just get those up. Okay, so here's how it's going to work. We will be given 1 point if we sink the Sea Jaeger. We will be given 2 points if we keep our entire fleet alive. We will be given 1 point if we keep half our fleet alive. So for me, I can lose 1 ship. And then 1 final point if we can hit it with 5 torpedoes. And we're going to start the range at 50 kilometers. So that's a maximum really of 4 points. So 1 point sinking, 2 point entire fleet, 1.5 torpedoes. The 5 torpedoes, I think, is going to be difficult because we don't have that many torpedoes available. But we'll see. Because we've got, 4 torpedo spreads on each heavy cruiser. I mean, we could hit, she's going to be a big boat, so I suppose it's a big target. And we are starting at 50 kilometers, which could be a challenge, but that's it. So I think our main aim here is sink it, stay alive, and that's at least 3 points, and then we'll see if we can get the torpedoes later on. But, you know, the risk is if I haven't, you know, if I lose a ship trying to gain the torpedo points, then at best I end up equal, because I'm going to lose a point for losing a ship, but gain a point for hitting with 5 torpedoes. And worst case is I don't make my torpedoes and I still lose my ship and I'm down a point. So I'm not sure if there's a real driver from a competitive point of view to go for it, but I'm not that worried about winning despite my meanderings at the start of this video. So we're just going to go and we're going to play it, and we're going to see what that looks like. So without further ado, I'm going to come out of the constructor. I'm going to jump into the custom battle. I'm going to set that up, and I'll see you guys on the waves. Okay, here we are. I will be amazed if you guys can see anything. We have got our Anna, we've got our Elsa Mark II, and it's had to come up with random names. We also got the Kuru Beguru, which let's just say is Japanese for Elsa Mark II. And we're starting at 50k, so we're a fair ways away, and we were told to make sure the weather is stormy, which is, yeah, it's doing wondrous things for my visibility. Now we are, I mean, where's my time of day? I selected the morning because I thought there might be a little more light around, so I can at least see what I'm doing. And we've spotted something to the north. Oh, so actually our speed's limited to 29 from the weather. Interesting. Slightly annoying. It's a waste of knots and weights and things. You can see the absolute plethora of little calibers we've ended up on these things. But anyway, this is okay. So what I will probably do is jump ahead until I actually get visibility of the Sea Jaeger. We could just kick speed up, couldn't we? I cannot see a blasted thing though. Hang on. Let's go. Stop. Please don't hit each other. That would be mildly embarrassing. Okay, Anna Mark II. There's our target. We might as well sail towards it. I think that the plan here is definitely going to be, yeah, probably try and close in a little bit. I think we've got the secondary advantage, even if we don't get armor advantage. So let's head on in. Ooh, shots fired, and we get the first shot of it, which is nice. And we see this behemoth in the fog. Whoa. There she is. Oh, she is fat, isn't she? That's cool. I mean, it looks cool coming out of stormy weather, I'll give her that. But it just makes it impossible to play any kind of level. This level's okay. As soon as you try and get any kind of strategic view, it's like, nah. Okay, well, let's kick forward a little bit. Shots out. What's our hit chance at the minute? 2.5%. Okay, let's keep going. We close in 20 kilometers. Slow down a little bit. Turn fire now coming in. Chunky shells, I'm sure. Oh, miles off. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to. It's gonna be a close duel, this one. I like the flashes in the dark. Thankfully, miles off target, but then so are we. We're gonna have a lot more barrels aiming. So let's make sure we're coming down to the side because we want to open up a broadside. Hey, first hit to us. Get in. 16-inch shell, partial penetration. Have some of that. And another one. Another partial penetration. This is good. Lost one crew. One down, a few more to go. Oh, more hits. Okay. You starting to bleed. I mean, imagine this would be a pretty cool thing to witness. Hits. These are, I'm happy with these numbers. Fire, even in this weather. Love it. Okay. You have Yeah, you have 2 turrets at the front, 1 at the back, that's fine. Good. How's my else's getting on there? I'm still pretty happy. I'm not sure, touch wood, we've been hit yet. Fire and flooding. Ah. See, you don't tell me you're going down with a whimper. Not with all your protection. Although, let's be honest, the tiniest amount of red line we've taken off thus far. Let's not get too cocky, shall we? Oh. Oh, yeah, let's not get cocky. There's one massive hit on the Kubaru. Slow things down a little bit, so let's look at your log. Yeah, 18-inch shell. Huge amounts of damage, huge amounts of flooding. She may be out of this fight already. Ooh. Okay, let's have you to detach. Let's pull off. Let's have the also chain pull in. And let this be a lesson to all those who get smug about things. Oh no, I need you to... Come the other way, please. Hard over. Cut inside the Kubaru. Kuru Begoru even. Easy damage from one shell. This is now clear, so let's take this off. Control yourself, head off that way, get your head of speed up. Good. How's Anna doing? Bonk, bonk. Okay, that's good. Bonks are pleasurable. Let's continue to close the gap. What range are we at now? 12 kilometers. Small fire on Anna. Alright, Kuba's getting over here. Elsa, speed up. Go, go, go. Hey, some more nice hits there. We've damaged the rudder. So I would like to try and get within torpedo range. Let's have you probably cut across the front. We'll have Anna keep going in the kind of old school broadside. Let's get all your turrets in on the action. I think they are. Maybe. I'm not going to be... maybe. Is this one firing? Yeah, there we go. Good. Full broadside out. Elsa's going to sneak in behind. Well, sneak's a strong word, but come in. Try and get in front of her so we're not chasing it. We finish identification yet, because that would be awesome. Only a small fire thus far. Is blocking a fair amount of damage, so I think we want to get a little bit close. How are you holding up? You're doing okay. You can kind of hang around and ping at range. Hopefully draw this thing's attention. As long as you're floating, you count. Right, let's keep the speed up a little bit. You can see them burning in the light, and we finally got confirmation of the sea here. We're going to try and close with her. Now you need to open up, Anna. definitely taking 7.5k. It's given out 1.3, so we're definitely in the lead there. In terms of damage, although it can obviously take a heck of a beating. Oh, Anna. What happened? 18-inch shells is what happened. Okay. this may end in absolute disaster. Going else, we believe. Ping. Oh, we just got wrecked in a salvo there. Posh pen. All their secondaries are absolutely mincing our battlecruiser here. Actually, this is not good. You're going to have to get a little bit more involved. How far have we got to go? 7 kilometers. I don't know if Anna's going to survive that. I need to sail up this side of the ship. I mean, you probably have a massive range in these things. 13 kilometers, but we don't want to go too far out. You've actually already launched one series of torpedoes. Okay. Probably fine. Oh, it's not fine. I need those ones to come out. Alright, let's turn around this way. We'll S shape as we close. Anna is maybe breathing her last. I really thought we were going to do a lot better against this thing. Speed up a little bit. Hail of secondary fire coming in now. Launch those torpedoes, that's good. See if any of them are on target. We'll have you come where you can. Whoa! Whoa, what happened? Ammo detonation. Ay. Alright. I have a feeling this is already going to be a valiant defeat. Okay. Nothing else. I talked a big game. That's what counts, yeah? Yeah, block shots. Yeah, perhaps we were better at staying at the increased range and then going for a plunging fire. There she goes. Oh no, this is inflicted 47,000k. Oh. Ugh. He said disgustedly. Alright. Not much for it. Charging, Kuruguru. Offer slim profile. They shan't escape us. Oh, they escaped us. Ammo detonation. There she goes. Oh, my fleet, my beautiful fleet. So wait, so let me just tally that up. Yeah, nil point. Very fitting on Eurovision weekend. Bugger. I'm really interested to see how other people have done. I had such faith, unfounded, completely and utterly unfounded, but I had a lot of faith in our designs. Oh well, there we go. Cool. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have enjoyed this abject failure of a challenge. I can't wait to see how my competitors have done against this. And yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts and telling me exactly where and when I went wrong. And I'll see you next week. Cheerio.